In addition to substance and structure, style is a requirement for influence. Let's discuss both nonverbal and oral communication. First, you need to look the part. In her book, Executive Presence, Sylvia Ann Hewlett cites research suggesting that in 250 milliseconds, your audience, based on your appearance, forms initial impressions regarding your competence, likability, and trustworthiness. Have you dressed appropriately for the audience and occasion? Do you smile and seem comfortable in the setting? Do you look the audience members in the eyes and acknowledge their presence? Let's unpack this. I know this seems basic, but you need to be well groomed and wearing the clothes that a reasonable person would associate with a professional speaking before a business audience. If you do not take pride in how you look, you may not be taken seriously. You may not even pass the first brain test. The audience may not take the time to process what you are saying because their initial impression may be, why bother? This person's reasoning is probably as sloppy as their appearance. Other aspects of nonverbal communication that impact influence include eye contact, facial expressions, posture and movement, and gestures. Western audiences expect speakers to establish eye contact with them. Employees do not believe bosses who cannot look them in the eyes. A leader should establish eye contact slowly and deliberately. In addition to appearing trustworthy, establishing eye contact engages listeners. Regardless of audience size, a speaker always wants listeners to feel like the message is meant for them individually. When we can connect with others on a very basic level, our audience will open their minds and fairly evaluate what we have to say, thereby increasing the chances of being influential. In most cases, especially during difficult times, leaders should display a calming presence. Their face should reflect this, and a genuine smile can be both engaging and disarming. We follow those we consider competent. Our facial expressions can convey an air of confidence. Appearing dismayed, anxious, or uncertain may cause others to be less inclined to follow us, and perhaps even less open to what we have to say. Confidence should always be displayed by keeping your shoulders back, standing erect, and when possible, owning the room. Moving around the room with comfort and confidence will keep listeners' attention, an important step toward influence. Your nonverbal cues should be expressive. Use open gestures to reinforce. They can reinforce and help explain oral cues. Gestures should be above the waist, diverse, and well-timed. Stoic communicators can bore an audience and cause others to disengage and tune out. A final note about the impact of nonverbal communication. If body language and word choice are aligned, the cues reinforce each other. If body language, word choice, and vocal stress are not aligned, the messages seem mixed. The nonverbal cues will then be most persuasive. So if a leader, you say words of praise to a direct report, but you say them with your arms folded, looking away with a stern facial expression, most likely, the words will be meaningless to the employee. Your nonverbals conveyed the meaning and the message. Turning our attention to oral communication, we need to speak at an appropriate level to be heard. Make it easy for others to hear you, without shouting, of course. When listeners are comfortable with volume, pace, and intonation, they'll listen longer. Use your voice to emphasize key points and be careful not to have upspeak or vocal trail off. A rising inflection or upspeak suggests uncertainty. If you're trying to convey a clear thought and a strong conviction toward an idea but have vocal upspeak, your staff members will be confused and they will not be influenced at all by your words. Further, if your voice trails off at the end of a statement, the power of your words may be lost and the overall impact lessened. Speaking rate should vary. Your speaking rate can frame important ideas when you slow down and perhaps pause on the most significant idea. A well-placed pause is the speaker's exclamation point. Conversely, if you speak too quickly without any variance, you can wear an audience down until they stop listening. We also tend to associate rapid speaking with nervousness and uncertainty. Finally, filler words are common in everyday conversation. While research on filler words is somewhat mixed, one thing for sure, too many filler words hurt a speaker's effectiveness. We associate fillers with being uncertain, ill-prepared, and nervous, qualities not associated with influential leaders. There are different types of fillers. Some are vocalized pauses, an utterance like ah, um. Others are words such as like and you know. The worst are hedges such as maybe, kind of, and sort of. Not only does the repetition of hedges take valuable communication time and obscure meaning, but they also suggest uncertainty and a preoccupation with covering oneself and being risk adverse. When leaders use an abundance of hedges, we may not be at all sure what they truly believe, and they will be unconvincing. We've covered several concepts and practices in our discussion of the requirement of influence. There's a lot to substance, structure, and style. I hope we're reminded that to fully meet the requirements, a leader must do many little things well.